Yeah, here and now we will discuss input Java, input and output, the things that govern the interface between the human, the user, and the running program. Let's dive in. Discussing Java input output generally. Input and output, abbreviated I/O, are concerned with the interface between the user and the running program, the computer. Input is the user of the program entering information into the running program. Output is the program communicating with the user. Yes, the program can give you status updates, error messages, things like that as you use the program, and it's very important because the user of the program needs to know what's going on with the program, depending on the type of program. In Java, input and output are largely handled by a method called system out println and methods of the scanner class for input. And we're going to go over each one, of course, in detail, and I'll show you some examples. First, we're going to cover output, governed via the system.out.println method. This is the thing you're going to use to print really stuff on the screen. The system out println is the primary output method in Java. It will generally display a string that you place inside the parentheses. The parentheses meaning these parentheses right here. You're going to put a string in there, and then when the code is run, the string that you placed in there is going to be printed out on your display. So it'll show you some stuff, like whatever you put in there. Here's an example of how it looks, where you have the code is system.out.println, and then we have the string that we place inside the quotes. And I said it's a string. Remember that strings are text, or a string is text, enclosed in quotes. What it's going to do is going to take this hello world and it's going to display it as output. So whatever you put in there string-wise is going to be displayed as output. Now this line of code is fully runnable in Java, and we're going to run that code here pretty soon after I show you a little bit about the online GDB. But it'll display it here. And the output place, or where the program displays its output, is generally going to be a console or a terminal or in an IDE, an output area. And I'm going to show you the output area in online GDB. I'm actually going to do that right now. I'm going to hop into there and show you, because I'm going to need to demonstrate this particular method. Let me hop out of the slide, open up a browser, and we're going to use online GDB as the primary coding interface. And well, actually, you can use whatever coding interface you want, but I'm going to show you things via online GDB. So that is, in your browser, you're going to put in onlinegdb.com, and it'll take you here. I usually get rid of this menu right here by hitting the arrow. And cool thing about online GDB is that you can code through a web browser in pretty much any language. On the top left, you select your language. Of course, we're going to hit Java. And I go ahead and get rid of this comment right here. Just don't need it to do my codings. And it gives you like a basic template of a Java program. And we can just use this and get started. Now here in the middle, this is your coding interface where you're going to actually produce your code. Up at the top here, we have some control. We really have a control menu where run is going to run your code, and that's actually all you need to be concerned with at this early stage. You're going to hit run to run the code, and down here in this area, we're going to have, this is going to be the output area where when you run your code, any output that the program needs to display is going to happen down here. And let me show you that real quick. Well, going to run this basic program that Online GDB just places here for you. Hit that, and we see the hello world. And this is actually also a demonstration of the code that I had in the slide, because notice this line is exactly the same as the slide that I was showing you, and see that it prints hello world down here in the output area. And as I was saying, with system out print ln, it's going to display whatever you put in inside the string inside the parentheses. Like if I change the message, you can put whatever you want. You can curse, you can say something controversial. It don't matter. Java doesn't discriminate. It doesn't get in its feelings. You can put whatever you want in there, and it's going to display. So hit this run, and we see that it displays. Just as long as it's in quotes, it's all good. And you can put an actual string in there, and you can also put variables in here to print. And now that I've demonstrated that, I want to go a little more general and tell you about the whole thing we got here, because you've got the surrounding code here. I've explained this part, but there's more to what's going on. And what's going on with this surrounding code is all this stuff this is a required code at a minimum to run a Java application. See, when you create a Java code file, you can't simply put in the code that you want to execute. You've got to put some surrounding code around it. And a lot of programmers call this surrounding code boilerplate, because it's like always there. It's like this template that you must start with to be able to produce runnable code. And I'm going to go over the boilerplate generally. Here on line 2, we have this public class main. In Java, every runnable program has to have a public class something. So your code file has to start with public class something. Now, public class, these are required pieces. This last word, main, this one is up to the programmer. You can call this whatever you want. In Online GDB, by default, it's going to be called main, but you can change the name of this word right here. You can call it Dean, you can call it dude, you can call it hello. That's kind of wide open. The name of your public class can be whatever. It's just structure-wise, it's got to be there to have a runnable program. Then you have your curly braces. You have opening curly brace where it opens to the right, and then the closing curly brace where it closes, I guess you could say, to the left. And then the opening and closing, they encompass the class. Like, what it means is that these are boundaries of the class. And I'll talk to you about what a class is later on in the course. You don't really need to know that right now. Inside of the body of the class, we have another piece, and this is a piece called the main method. The main method, it is the launcher of the program, meaning that whenever you hit run, this is the code that's going to run first. Of course, it's really the only code that's here, but in a real Java application, you may have much surrounding code and other methods that are there, that are defined, whether in this case or in the case of surrounding code, the main method is going to be the first thing that's run. And the main method must be here to run a Java application. And the main method must begin like this verbatim. I'm not going to get into what these words mean. That'll happen at a later time, but just know that these have to be here in this order exactly for it to run successfully. Then you have opening curly brace, closing curly brace, and these create boundaries for the body of the main method. And within the main method, this is where you're going to place the code that you create. This is important. So the code that you create as a programmer is going to go inside here. And right now, all we've got is our print method, and that's all we've done so far. But your code is going to go in here. So that's an important thing to recall and remember. And your code won't generally be just one line. It's going to encompass several lines. So just know that. So let's look at the boilerplate, and you'll see more later. I want to step back in here and show you something else that we can do with system out println, and I'm going to harken back to an earlier topic talking about variables. I'm going to show you how a variable definition looks in actual code, and I'm going to use it in conjunction with the system out println method. I'm going to create an integer variable. If you recall how a variable is set up, it is variable or a variable data type, variable name equals the data. And what this means is that this data is going to be going into this storage location called X. 55 will be stored in X. I'm going to show you something here that we can print out the value of X, meaning the value that is stored inside X, by placing X inside of the parentheses of system out println. See what happens here. 55 prints. See, when you have a variable in code, once you create a variable, when you refer to it after you define it, it really refers to the value that's inside of it rather than the name. So when I print X, or if I do something to X, it's really referring to the value inside of it, not the actual character X. X is like an alias for what is inside of it. So that's something else you can do with the println method, is that you can print the value of a variable. Here is something else you can do with it. I can print regular string data along with the variable. Like this. What I did here is I have my string first, here, my regular string, and then a plus sign, and then the variable. This plus sign is using a technique called concatenation, where it is a combination symbol where I can combine the string and the variable value together to produce output. And I'm going to run it so you can see what it does, what it do, my dude. Prints my string along with the variable value. So you can print variable values and strings together. And I could put the variable value before or after the string. It doesn't matter. I just decided to do it here because it kind of makes sense the way that I have set it up. And show you one more thing here. Let's define a string variable. Remember, string data is enclosed in quotes. Now, this hey now dude is going to be stored in the variable called var or var, depending on how you pronounce it. And let's say I put var here. It's going to print me this string and then the value of what's inside var, which is this other string. So we get these two strings together. You've got like what they call a literal string value, and then you've got a string value inside of a variable. Okay, that's a little bit about output. Now we will discuss input via the scanner class. The primary input mechanism in Java is handled by the scanner class, really methods of the scanner class. And you think of the scanner as just it's a data type. When we say class, generally in Java and actually in other languages as well, we're really talking about a data type. Class is its way to define your own data type. We're going to get into that later on in the course, but think of a scanner as a data type like an integer or a float or a double or a string, and the methods, meaning the functionality provided with this data type, allows you to get input from the user of the program. So the scanner, a data type or class in Java, has methods that allow a running program to receive typed input from a user of that program. How it works is that it is going to be via a prompt, usually, where the program will present a question or a question or a request to the user, like, what is your name? Or how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Whatever it's going to ask, it is going to make a prompt, and then it's going to sit there and wait for input, and the user will type it in. Once they type that input in, it's going to go into a variable, and then the program can use that variable for whatever it needs to, whether it needs to use that variable for a calculation or it needs to just print it out to display it to the user. We're actually going to do that very, very soon. But that's how the scanner works. And I don't know why I have these 2 points coming out at the same time, but it is what it is. To use the scanner class, you're going to have to create an instance of it, meaning a variable of its type, which just means you're going to have to create and define a scanner variable. And then you're going to use a method from the scanner to get the input. And going down to this final point here, to get the input, the scanner uses different methods depending on the data type, and the methods are going to have the word next in them, like simply next, next int, next double. But the method that you use to get the input using the scanner is going to be dependent on the data type. Like if you want to get an integer from the user, you're going to use next int. If you want to get a double, you're going to use next double. And for getting singular strings, you're going to use the next method. But any of the input methods are going to have next in them. And now we're going to look at how to do this in code in online GDB. GDB, my homies. Let's go. So I set up here with online GDB. See, I got my boilerplate and I got a little bit of code in here. Explain some things here for your brothers and sisters. To be able to use the scanner, you've got to have this line up here or a version of it. But for now, just put this exact line. It is going to import code from outside of regular Java, and this code that you're importing is going to have definitions for the scanner data type in it. And that's all you need to know right now. But that's required to use the scanner. And then these lines are just a standard boilerplate, and then we get to line 7, where this is the creation of the scanner variable. And as I code, I'm going to put comments in here, and what comments are, it's a way to create notes in your code. And in Java, you begin them with 2 slashes, forward slashes, and what happens is anything you type after the 2 forward slashes is ignored by the Java compiler, which is the thing that runs, that converts the code into runnable a program. But it ignores it as syntax. So you can place notes and like to-dos and how-tos inside of these comments, and they're not going to be interpreted as regular code. But it's good for me to give notes to you as we go line by line. So that creates a scanner variable. The process of using the scanner is going to be, you're going to print a prompt to the user, like saying, what is your name or what is your age? And then you're going to use a scanner method to get that input. And this is how it's going to look. We're going to write a little program that asks the user for their age. No. You'll notice that online GDB has this autocomplete thing, and it's pretty annoying. I haven't explored how to turn it off yet, but you'll experience it in all its glory. Next, we need to actually get the input using a scanner method. And so how you do it is you create a variable of the data type that you're going to use to get the input, and then you call or you use the method on you use the method and it outputs into that variable. Here is how it looks. Over here on the right side, I'm calling nextInt, which is it's a method that gets input, and I'm calling it on S. See, S is the name of the variable for the scanner, and the scanner has within it methods, meaning functionalities that enhance its capabilities. And one of the functionalities is the ability to grab an integer from the user. What this line is going to do is it's going to sit there in the display area with a blinking cursor and wait for the user or the program to type something in. once they type something in, it's going to go into the age variable, and it's going to be available to the running program. So now this is going to be the act of the user entering the stuff in, and it's going to be available. And as I said, the method is going to be data type specific. You have to use nextInt to get an integer. If I use a different method, I would have to use a different data type for the variable. And now that I have my my integer that the user has input, I'm just going to print it out along with a message. And recall from a little while ago that you can have variable along with regular string, or it's regular string plus the variable. It's going to print them both out together. Let us take the sucker for a spin. What is our age? The ripe old age of 121. Sounds good. I look good for my age, damn it. And there we go. You get the string along with the variable together. And that's how you use a scanner. And that's how the scanner is typically used to grab input from the user. You're going to see some other examples as we move on, but that is basic usage, and that is the topic of input and output, my friends.